All right, so let's start. Angular 2 introduction. So here we're going to talk about what is and why Angular 2, and we'll talk about Angular CLI. So what is and why Angular 2? So Angular is a development platform for building mobile and desktop applications. The Angular 2 was designed for mobile from the ground up, and Angular 2 has a lot of performance enhancing features, and one of those include generating of HTML on the server side, or even leveraging web worker on HTML5 on the client side. Angular 2 is a platform agnostic, which means it's not coupled with the DOM or even HTML, which means you can use Angular 2 to build non-browser applications. So let's compare Angular 1 versus against Angular 2. Angular 2 is rewritten from scratch. In fact, it's using different language called the TypeScript. It's not even using JavaScript. You could use a JavaScript if you want to, but the TypeScript is strongly recommended to build Angular 2 applications. It introduced new building blocks, so it is a little bit different architecturally from Angular 1. In fact, Angular 2 is not compatible in Angular 1, meaning Angular 1 applications is not going to be actually run as Angular 2 applications. So why this drastic change, meaning drastic change from Angular 1? So Angular 1 was introduced in 2009, and web has evolved a lot. And the applications, web applications have become much more complex and demanding, and Angular 1 was not really up to the task. And new technologies were introduced. For example, HTML5 web workers and reactive programming is actually on the rise. So these features, are going to be leveraged in Angular 2. So why Angular 2? So Angular 2 is easier to program. So many programming features that you can actually find in the object-oriented programming languages such as the Java now actually available in TypeScript. One of those features are in fact type checking. So TypeScript provides the type checking, which allows the availability of IDE-like tools. Again, we're going to use the Visual Studio Code and the WebStorm, and using those tools, making building Angular 2 applications a lot easier to program. And of course, it generates easier to read and write code, as you're going to witness in a few minutes. It has a streamlined architecture of Angular 1. So Angular designers have learned a lot from Angular 1, so they actually streamlined the architecture. And it is in fact what is called the component-oriented. And we're going to actually talk about this component architecture in detail. Of course, it provides higher performance, and it is designed to be mobile-friendly. Okay, so let's talk about Angular CLI. So what is Angular CLI? So it is a command line tool that is for automating your development flow. So with using Angular CLI, you can actually create a brand new application. Basically, the command you're going to use is ng new and the name of the application, in this case, hello app. And it generates all the directories and the files that you can actually build and run right away. It lets you run the applications in the development mode with a live reload, meaning whenever you make a change, you'll see the change right away. Okay? And you can add features to your existing applications using ng and generate. You can generate a component, you can generate pipes, you can generate module, you can generate a lot of things. Run your applications unit test. So the unit test and end-to-end tests are built in Angular. So basically, in order to test unit test, you basically call ng test. And for end-to-end test, you're going to say ng e2e. And you can build your applications for deployment to productions using ng build. And you can also deploy your applications to server. So there are a bunch of other commands that are available for doing these kind of things. Okay, so in order to use Angular CLI, you have to install Node.js. Okay, so in fact, Node.js has to be version the 4.0.0 and after. And when you install Node.js, it installs what is called the npm. It is the package manager, Node package manager, and the version has to be 3.0.0 and plus. Okay, so you just have to install Node.js, and once you've done that, you can just verify the installation. So in my case, it's already done here. So basically, Node V, and in this case, in my case, the version is 6.9.1. And you can also find out npm version. So I have a version of 3.10.9. Okay. So if you can just install Node.js, these are the I actually installed this one recently, so these are relatively new versions. Okay. Now, in order to install Angular CLI, you're going to install as the Node.js package. So basically, what you have to do is npm install -g. It's a global installation, and you say Angular CLI. Okay. So let me do that, even though I have installed it already. And then you can verify the installation of ng version, and if that ng command works, that means Angular CLI has been installed correctly. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys about the 5 minutes to install Node.js and Angular CLI. Okay. All right. Let's make sure the Okay, so those of you are done with the installation of Node.js and Angular CLI. Now we are ready to build our first Angular 2 application using ng command. So basically, you go to the directory where you want to build your Angular 2 application today and tomorrow. So you can just type ng, that's the Angular CLI command, and the new, and the name of the application. In this case, I'm going to call it Hello World App. So once you've done it, it will create everything for you. And once you are done with, well, it will take some time, up to a minute, because it has installed all the required modules, the node modules for the application, as you can see. And then we are going to open the directory. It will create a directory called the Hello World App, and then we are going to open that directory using your ID of your choice, in this case Visual Studio Code. Let me resume. Okay, so now I can go to Hello World App, and then I can say ng serve. Okay, and then start the application, or I can do that within an IDE. So if you're going to use an IDE in most of our developments, so I can I studied the Visual Studio Code, and I say File, Open Folder. In my case, it's going to be Labs and Hello World App here. Select folder, and then if you click View and select Integrated Terminal, then you're going to actually see the terminal window. So here you can say ng serve. Either one is fine. So once you start once you actually type in ng serve, then it will start the server and run the Angular applications on the top of it. Okay, and then we should be able to go to localhost 4200. Okay, so let's see. Once it is done, where is my Okay. All right, so localhost 4200, then you should see app works. In general, you want to actually open your console by pressing F12 to make sure if there is an error, you're going to actually see some error messages. For now, everything works fine, so you should see app works. So you have a fully functioning, Angular 2 applications right now. Okay, all right. Let's see. Question. What is configuring the app to run on port 4200? So if you actually take a look at the let me answer forwarding the question. So we're gonna talk about the so if you actually go to let's see, if you just Google Angular CLI, okay, and go to Angular CLI, so maybe this is probably okay, Angular CLI, okay, not that one, so let's go to the first one, which is the zip. This has the very detailed documentation how to run it, okay. So when you run ngserve, so search ngserve, okay, and here you can specify port number that you want to run. So the default is 4200, okay. All right, hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, Bonnie mentioned that you can use a control backspace to open terminal window. So I'm forwarding to everyone. So yeah, so I'm going to actually talk about the how to customize and how to use the Visual Studio Code later on in a bit. Okay. Any other questions? So in fact, install AD and the editor and IDE. So Visual Studio Code is from Microsoft, and it is free for use, and it supports all platforms, Linux and Mac and Windows. So you can download and install. These are, in fact, the tools people use for building Angular 2 application. WebStorm from JetBrains is probably the best at this point. But it's commercial. You have to pay like a $60-something per year. And other people actually use Atom and Sublime Text. All these tools are actually excellent tools to build the Angular 2 applications. Visual Studio Code is actually not bad. I mean, I actually use the WebStorm as well, but Visual Studio Code is pretty compatible to WebStorm. In fact, I found it's actually even easier to use, even though it doesn't have all the features that WebStorm provides, but for free tool is pretty decent. So that's the reason we are going to actually use it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so once you have installed it, I want you to install extensions. So if you actually click this one, this is the extension part, and try to install. Well, the most important plugin or extension is TypeScript import assistance. Okay, so if you type, you probably don't see any of this in your Visual Studio Code yet because these are the ones that I've already installed. So here you type TypeScript import. Okay, then you should actually see, so this is the one that you want to actually install it. Okay. And let's see, and also snippet. So if you type Angular 2 snippet, oops. In fact, there are actually several. Okay, so feel free to actually install all of those. Okay, so in my case, I have I have installed 3 or 4, and they actually have pretty compatible the extensions. So I have Angular 2 TypeScript snippets and Angular 2 TypeScript plus HTML snippets and Angular 2 TypeScript HTML5 VS code snippets and things like that. Right? The most important, as I said, is the import assistance. Because this is the TypeScript import assistance. Yeah. So basically whenever you import something, you do not want to remember which file contains that JavaScript code. So basically by using import assistance, you just press the key, then it will import it for you. Okay. All right, so let's see. Okay, so let's make sure that I have done the all the recordings. Okay, so let's